Hello, YouTube. I am an American citizen, just recording my thoughts after watching the Republican candidates in South Carolina this evening. It was on TV around 12 a.m., and I watched it a couple times, just to really get a good idea of what they're talking about, and I made a few conclusions that I've kind of been wanting to make. I mean, not wanting, but some assumptions I made I think maybe are true. Some of the candidates, really, I just don't think that their minds are in the right places, and that's often the biggest problem with a leader. Whether it's, an ego problem, or maybe they're not smart enough for the job, or maybe they're just too anxious and on a bad spiral of negative energy. But either way, I really don't feel like a lot of the candidates were acting like prepared professional presidents of the United States. I mean, if that's what they want to be, then they have to be confident in their execution. And I don't mean fascist or anything, I just mean they should be able to hold a conversation, without getting into like a little cat fight. I mean, all night Santorum and Gingrich were fighting, and it was over like little issues of their ego, trying to make themselves look better. And I mean, yeah, that's what it's all about, but it was just on such a petty scale, and it was just irritating, especially since Gingrich was saying he didn't want to talk about petty matters such as marriage and this, and he shouldn't be going into details from 1976. Also, another thing that annoyed me about Gingrich, one of his plans, he referred to as a World War II style plan. And I just feel like he really is outdated. It seems like he's trying to live for some metaphysical image he's wanted to cling to his whole life. Um, and that is one of leadership and knowledge. And I'm not really sure if he's actually psychologically ready for the job. There's a certain amount of satisfaction that is seeming in someone that is wise, and I just don't get that in a lot of the candidates except for Ron Paul. He really seems to, have it figured out. He's not a bumbling fool on subjects such as individual health, which really in this day and age, a president should be qualified for. I mean, if everybody is going to Harvard and having all these, like high degrees and getting master's degrees and so, then you would think that leaders would be doctors. So I'm just saying, it's definitely a good thing he understands a lot that's going on. And while I'm talking about that, I wanted to address how Romney, I'm not really sure what corporations he runs or works with. Um, but he said he is responsible for creating 120,000 jobs um, in places such as Domino's, which is an example of one of the businesses that I believe he said he owns. And he was defensive about his success, which wasn't really being questioned. I mean, besides people requesting to see if he was going to put out his tax information, I don't really think people were stabbing at his success in a bad way. And he, during the Republican debate, brought up how he was annoyed that liberals and Democrats are complaining about his success. I mean, he doesn't need to bitch and moan about it. It's the Republican fucking debate. They're gonna understand what you're saying. They're all about individuals getting what's right for themselves. but especially Ron Paul. And also, another thing that annoyed me about Mitt Romney that kind of almost gave me a glance into like a weak ego was his reference to reading Ronald Reagan's diary. Um, and then he mentioned that his father was in the book. It's just like that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Are you running to be president because it's going you think it would make your father happy? Is it some like biological need tied to some Freudian connection you have with your dad? I'm not sure, but we really need a good leader. We don't need some fascist that's trying to bring Daddy's World and Ronald Reagan's diary to all of us. We really don't need to see that. Ronald Reagan was an actor from the past. I really don't want to be reading his diary. I want to be focusing on issues that are the here and now and issues that have been a problem for maybe 100 years or more that presidents really not got around haven't got around to. I really don't understand why people I guess maybe it's a state law, regulating what you can grow, what kind of animals, livestock you can have, what preservative, what like hormones you have to feed them or whatever. But I really think that maybe the presidential candidates should maybe try to focus on making it easier for us to afford and grow and sustain healthy vegetation and livestock. We should really know from all the things that we've been uncovering the past few decades when it comes to health and diet. We shouldn't be eating these cloned or highly manufactured animals that don't even have a healthy life. Um, we shouldn't be consuming aspartame or any of these other preservatives and chemicals. And that is something that I think capitalism is really at fault of. And I know Mitt Romney would feel a personal blow from that comment, but it's really just kind of. I'm not saying all capitalism has to go, but there's a few ethics that it doesn't really seem like capitalism acknowledges. And I think that really it's time that America can really connect with a leader that actually does care about their individual prosperity. Because that's what the Constitution's all about. That's what the founding fathers were all about. They weren't, who knows, but I'm pretty sure having free Xanax or Adderall isn't going to be the cure for everything. I don't really think the healthcare plan is going to cure all your problems. And I don't think waiting around for capitalist CEOs to create jobs is a great way to live your life. That's another reason why Ron Paul is a candidate for me. He's all about cutting down the dependencies. It seems like people are even dependent on having the government tell them how to run their lives. They don't know what doctor to go to without the government. They don't know where they can go, what they're going to be able to afford in the next 4 years. Some people do, they study this stuff, but the average American doesn't. And there's just a lot of things that it's really hard for the average middle class person to gauge um, when it comes to success. And there really is just a small percentage that has all that information at their fingertips because they have the privilege to pay people to do research for them. And a lot of that research isn't really disclosed to the public. But the information that is disclosed, we should really take advantage of. And I'm, yeah, so I'm probably going to wrap this up soon. I'm pretty tired. But I just wanted to say that Ron Paul is an excellent candidate for the President of America at this time. We're really at a time where we can continue walking on with the dependencies we have walking into a lifestyle, having the government to regulate drugs, having more capitalists in charge of governing so that they can make their own laws for their own companies. I mean, maybe that's what Romney's in it for. Hey, I just kind of realized that. He might be just in it for that. Maybe he's in it to see how he can make a little more money. And I just wanted to say, I don't know if everybody knows this, but the head of the FDA is the owner of the Splenda Corporation, the owner of McDonald's, and the owner of the Purdue Chicken Corporation, and the Federal Reserve, and that's what makes up the Food and Drug Administration. I mean, that was as of like 2008 when I read this book about like preservatives and the negative impacts of the food industry or the world food providing industry. So, I really think that as a country, we all really know the way that we should go. We all know self sufficiency is key, and I'm not saying not to be united. We definitely should, but there's so many things that we're divided over, and it's just ridiculous. And it really might be a distraction for people to keep getting one over us. But that's why I just want to say again that I'm grateful that Ron Paul is a candidate right now and that he's made it as far as he is because we really have that opportunity to have a president that actually does care about preserving our liberty and our own pursuit of our prosperity. That's what America's about. And good night slash good morning, America. I hope you all wake up and make a right decision.